We are. It worked. It worked. Who knew? we're like standing on one foot. Hey, good morning, YouTube. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to day 5 of our 7-figure brand, our online brand challenge. So today we're going to do something. Well, actually, let me ask you a question. Are you ready to put the whole thing together? You've come through day 1 where we talked about the right mindset. Okay, can we talk about the right mindset at first? Day 1, let's do a quick review. Let me know 1 in the chat if you're okay if we do a quick review. Okay. Day 1, we kind of leveled the playing field and we talked about positioning ourselves in such a way that we had an idea for something and we're going to bend positive. Okay. We're going to bend positive. Piece number 1. The second part of that, of this trifold cord, if you will, is that we're going to choose to believe that the idea for our lifestyle brand, even, it's okay if you write this in the chat, even if your idea sucks, friends, even if your idea is like tank, gong show, this thing is awful. We're going to practice believing in here, in our gut, in here, that our idea is good, that there's some merit in there some way. The third piece of this is that we're going to make our decisions. We're going to make our decisions. One of our clients, Emily Hill, she's got a 7-figure coding brand. We're going to make decisions as kind of the next level up version of us. So Emily says it this way. She says, I'm going to make decisions as 8-figure Emily, right? With Melissa, she's going to make her decisions as 8 or 9-figure Melissa, right? I'm going to make decisions as 9-figure Ann when I'm looking at what's in front of me as I build my lifestyle brands. Okay. Now, what's the overarching theme, if you will, of day 1? Day 1 is we want to learn to make decisions. Somebody write in the chat, decisions from a wealthy, healthy place. A healthy, wealthy place, right? Have you ever heard the phrase, how we do one thing is how we do everything? Kind of stinks when I look at my desk and I'm like, my desk is messy, my house is tidy. I'm like, okay, we got some incongruency there to clean up, Ann. In the same way, as you're thinking about building your online lifestyle brand, I want you to give yourself permission to start by clearing the decks and learning how to make decisions differently. All right. Now, how many times have people said to me, Ann, just give me the list. Give me the how-to list. Give me the stuff. Give me the stuff. And I'm like, cool, I can give you everything. I literally, here's the list. Here's the actual, this is actually workbook 1 of 3 for my mastermind clients. Here's the list. It's 70 pages and it's a whole bunch of lists. It's a whole bunch of checklists. It's actually, I've even got I even have an assessment in here. Your brand builder assessment. How do you score with your skill set? I can give you the list. Totally. But how many of you know the list of how to win the Olympics in swimming in Michael Phelps' identity versus Sally Sue's identity, who doesn't even have goggles? They both have the list. Who's going to win? Michael Phelps, based on his identity, all right? Based on his identity. He's looking at the information. He's looking at the list with a radically different set of lenses than Sally Sue, who also has the exact same list. Hopefully that's helping somebody, okay? One of the reasons you may not have succeeded to this point is that you haven't given yourself permission. Just say, I give myself permission to up-level my identity so that when I look at the list the next time, I'm looking at it with different lenses. That makes sense? Like I got my blue light glasses here, right? I wear them every day, especially when I'm online a lot. Now, how do we up-level our lens again? First, you're going to decide to bend positive. Write this in the chat, please, friends. This is actually more important than the list. I'm going to bend positive. I'm going to believe my idea is good. And that was the second piece. And then when I'm confronted with a decision to make, I'm going to choose to make the decision from identity, an up-leveled identity, rather than straight up information. Okay. Can I give you one more example? I want to drive this point home. Okay. Again, think of a time when you've had the list. You put your name and you get an email back and you get a list of something like how to do this, how to do that. And you get frustrated and you stop just before you complete it. You're like, it's not going to work. Right? How many of you are familiar with Tiger Woods? You guys know do you know who Tiger Woods is? Right? He's the golfer, right? So can you imagine, well, I think Tiger does have a book. I think he does have a how-to book. So imagine Tiger gave you his entire program on how to play golf, right? His entire program. He's like, you do this, you eat this, you wear this, you practice this, you do this. Like, you've got the list, right? How many of you think that just by having the list, you're going to play golf like Tiger? Right? You're like, well, yeah, I know, like, probably not, right? Probably not. The point is, Tiger is making decisions about the tactics from a place of identity. He thinks of himself as the victor, and he's making decisions looking back from a place of identity, right? He's believing that his idea to win this tournament and this tournament and this tournament and this tournament is a good idea. He's all in. And he's bending positive, right? He takes in the situation and he bends positive, right? You guys, is this landing? This is a very important principle that if I can give this to you, even if you work with us or don't work with us, your process of building your online brand, whether it's 5 figures like Stress-Free Holiday Home, right? It's not earth-shattering, right? It's just like out of a stress-free holiday, right? Or you want to go 6 figures or 7 figures and beyond. This identity shift will change the game for you. Okay? Let me know 1 in the chat if that's working, if that makes sense. I have tried. Can I tell you why I'm so passionate about hubbing in on that for the first day? So I've been in this game online really since 2008, 2013 successfully. It took me about 5 years to like get out of my own junk, right? I had to get over the online thing. Okay. I was like, I don't have time to go into it, but have you ever been in a situation where you knew you had blocks and so you weren't all in? You were just kind of dipping your toe in, but you really kind of had a disdain in the back of your head. You're like, that's not going to work. Those people are, liars and cheats and all that kind of stuff. And I had some really bad beliefs, right? So if you've ever been in a place where you've had some bad beliefs, up-leveling your identity and making your decisions about your online lifestyle brand, just write online lifestyle brand, guys. That's what we're doing. That's what this challenge is about. I have one goal, all right? I want to help you build or bring into the marketplace the online lifestyle brand that you want to bring in, that you're called to bring in. That's my big nefarious goal. Okay. There you go. If you've ever seen my why, we came out of like a family business that was dismantled after multiple generations. So I have a heart for people to not have to go through that, right? That's kind of why I show up in this space. So that putting yourself into that position of giving yourself permission to change how you believe, man, that can feel vulnerable, right? but it's necessary to level up in order to be the person. Just say, I will be who I need to be so my brand flows easily out of me, right? It just flows. It's not toilsome. It's not frustrating. It's not anger. It's not disdain. It's not contempt, right? It's just like, oh, I'm just going to settle in, right? That identity that you and I adopt, where we don't need anything. I don't need anybody to buy my products. I'm here to serve, right? I showed a video to our to our VIP group yesterday, I think 10 years ago, talking about the same thing. It's that servant leadership piece. Okay. So day one, what did we cover? How to make decisions, right? You're going to have an opportunity to make a decision today about whether you want to hop on the phone with us, join one of our programs or not. Make that decision from a wealthy place, right? A wealthy, healthy place. Again, what are the 3 fingerprints of that? Write this in the chat. I'm going to play this chord as long as I'm on this earth, right? Bend positive. Negative thinking hurts your brain. Bend positive. Second, believe, make a decision to believe that your idea, even if it truly stinks, like the coffee sleeve fix idea I had, even if your idea stinks, that there's merit embedded within the process of bringing that to certain stages of fruition. Let me know 1 in the chat if that makes sense. And then third, practice making your decisions from the future-paced identity, not from information alone. Practice making your decisions from a future-paced identity, the future you, the 8-figure Emily, the 8 and 9-figure Melissa, the 9-figure Ann, right? The 8 and 9-figure Jill, right? Practice making those decisions from that place of someone who's already achieved it. Things become way easier. Wealthy, healthy decisions. That was day 1. All right. My work here is done. Day 2, we talked about my system. So I have an overarching system when we're bringing lifestyle brands into the online space, right? Basically, we look at a tree. Everybody just image in your head a really prosperous and abundant fruit tree, right? A really powerful fruit tree, one that's like in its prime. It's like in good soil. It's got good sunlight. It's got good weather. Some fruit trees need good fog, like the air is clear. It's free of chemicals. It's like all good. Okay. And that fruit tree doesn't have to labor or spin to produce the fruit. Well, in the same way, the system that we unpacked on Tuesday of this week, or day 2, depending on when you're watching this, was taken from the metaphor, if you will, the frame, if you will, of a fruit tree. Okay. Now, what does it look like? So basically, we learn how to make decisions differently. Okay. Most of us, maybe not all of us, but most of us grew up in a construct where we were trained by a bell in school to do this and close our books and show up here and do this and sit still. We were trained to behave and think and act in a certain way. Now, a fruit tree doesn't grow because a bell told it to grow. A fruit tree doesn't bear fruit because a degree in college told it to bear fruit. It bears fruit simply because that's who it is, right? So the first step of the system is we're going to decision differently. We're going to decision from that place of identity, right? Like it's like a radical paradigm shift. Okay. The second thing is we're going to navigate. Have you ever been sailing? Do you know how to sail? Because when you sail, like we lived in the San Francisco Bay Area for 25 years. And the San Francisco Bay, if you've ever sailed on the bay, you can look like, oh, I'm going to go there. And you can think it's a straight shot, but the currents underneath the water actually tell you that you need to aim over there in order to get there. All right. Well, in the same way, Kathy, Jill, Sarah, Kim, Lisa, Melissa, and Dave, Caleb, talking to my VIPs, Pam, they are all in different niches, and different niches require different navigating skills, right? The San Francisco Bay, if it were a niche, is navigated very differently than the Hudson Bay, right? Or than the Gulf of Mexico, right? If you're sailing, very different. We actually have a friend, Joe. He literally sailed from, where did he sail from? Sailed from South America.
Oh, from Honduras to, well, down the coast and then to the Marquesas in the middle of South Pacific.
He sailed from South America to the Marquesas Islands in the South Pacific. You think he doesn't know about undercurrents? He knows about undercurrents. So in the same way, when you are positioning your brand, Kim, after you've decided to make decisions differently, you need to navigate your specific niche. Okay. Nobody tells you that. Everybody's like, just do this and just do that and just do this. And can I tell you, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You might buy their program, but it's not going to work because the holiday decor niche is different than the meditation niche, is different than the, preparedness niche. It's different than the lifestyle niche. It's different than emotional wholeness, like Lisa Swanson. It's different than the paper niche, right? Kim Smith has a brand, The Papered Chef. That niche is different than the life coaching niche. It's just got undercurrents you have to navigate, right? So what's the system? Step one that we covered on day 2, it's learning how to decision differently from a place of identity and not from toil, right? Toil is not going to get you where you want to go, okay? Second, you got to navigate the undercurrents of your niche. You must do it, right? Otherwise, you're going to end up on the rocks, okay? We don't want that. Sailboats are expensive. You don't want to crash that thing, okay? Finally, third, we're going to learn to assign. Somebody write assign in the chat. All right. Have you ever heard that saying, Rome wasn't built in a day? Rome was not built in a day. It was also not built with one person. Rome was not built by one dude, okay? When I had my design practice full time, I used to have this saying with my team. So is it okay if I share with you? Do you promise not to use this against me? Sometimes, not always, and I'm not saying this would be any of you, but sometimes we would get clients who would say, well, I'm going to DIY that part. And there was one day I was just at the end of my rope. My identity wasn't sitting too high. And I looked at my team and I was like, DIY is an evil spirit. Like it's a demon. Like enough already. So I respect you enough to tell you, you're not doing this by yourself. Now, if you want to click off, that's cool. Go find somebody who tell you you can totally be a one-man band. It's not happening. And it's not happening not because you don't have the skill set or the ability, but because that's not how God designed you to build. Okay? It's not how you are designed to thrive. You and I, we're human beings, we're pack animals, we're herd animals, right? We are designed to be in community. And in our mastermind group, Jill's on, or a couple of Melissa and Dave, Lisa's on. In our mastermind group, we talk about it this way. Just say, I will preserve the asset. Tap yourself and say, I'll preserve the asset. This is that part of your life where you put the oxygen mask on first. Have you ever been on an airplane? Right? You ever been on an airplane? What is the first thing those I don't know, they call them flight attendant. I don't know what the proper language is anymore, right? What is the first thing that the attendants tell you when they're doing the safety thing? And they're like, hey, let's have a great time. They're like, dude, lady, put your oxygen mask on first, even if you're sitting next to a child, next to somebody who doesn't have the skill set that you have. How many of you have ever been in business and you're sitting next to somebody, a client, a friend, a colleague who doesn't have the skill set you have? And you're like, I'll help you. What just happened to your business, friend? What just happened to your business, Lisa? Your business isn't making any money because you're busy helping somebody else first. Don't do it, friend. I don't know who that was for. That just came out of my belly. Okay. Don't do it. Put your oxygen mask on first. Just say, I will put my, tap yourself, oxygen mask on first. Come on. Okay. You're going to learn to assign activities. You're going to learn to think like a CEO. Okay. The 3-step system that we covered on day 2, we're going to decision from a place of identity. We're going to learn to decision differently as we're building our brands, even if you're building an extra small brand like Stress-Free Holiday Home. Okay. Even if you just want to sell a couple info products, you just want to have some fun. That's totally cool. 40 grand, no big, but we're going to do it in a way that we preserve the asset, capital asset. You are the capital asset. We cannot replace you, friend. We cannot replace you, Jill, Kathy, Sarah, Lisa, Kim, Pam, Melissa, Dave. Who else is on with me right now? We can't replace you. So we want to preserve that. How are we going to do that? We're going to decision differently. We're going to navigate our real niche, and we're going to learn to assign and not try to do this all ourselves. Okay. Because a viable business is designed to be profitable. It's not designed to kill you. Okay. Don't believe the noise, the gurus, the narrative, like enough already. Enough already. Okay. It's still a business, even if it's online, it's a business. Okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So that was day 2. Day 3, we started to unpack, like, what does it look like to start to design our actual tree, like the brand of our tree, right? I call it the ethos tree, the character of your brand. We're going to stay in that high level. Do you remember, did we talk about the 4 levels of implementation with you? Did we talk about that? The 4 levels of value? I don't know if we did. All right. I think we did earlier in the week with our general session. So in 2017, I wrote a book called Idea to Implementation. Have you ever been inundated with ideas, friend? Have you ever been in that place where you're like, you wake up and you're like, idea, 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 idea. And you're like, shh. Ideas, whatever, right? So in 2017, I wrote a book called Idea to Implementation. Basically, how to name your ideas so they know how to behave in the real world, right? It's a faith-based book, if you will. But the concept is, just like Adam was able to name the animals, whether you believe the story or not, it's the principle of, there was an idea for an animal, Adam names the animals, and in the naming process, this animal's character exists. In the same way, once we have these ideas, we actually have to consolidate them and give them some form. And that's what we unpacked with the ethos tree. You can go back and see that. We touch the character, we touch the data. Can somebody say online, like, let's leverage some data, right? I think I shared this with you. I started off as a math major at UC Berkeley. I found that guy dated and had fun and flunked out, but I do have a data brain. So one of the things that's really cool is that, well, are you ready to actually think about what will make your brand successful online? Let me know one in the chat if you're ready to make that actual decision. Because you can hobby this up and kind of do like I did from 2008 to 2013. I didn't take it seriously. I wasn't making decisions from a powerful place. Maybe like I was, you're in that place where you're just trying to tap your toe in and see, hey, is this something I even want to do? Right? And that's totally cool. But if you're ready to not hobby anymore, one of the things that we talked about was this 7-11-4. It's basically the minimum viable presence required to be known, liked, and trusted. And it's I call it a data love child, Google and Oxford University. And it's really simple, friends. The concept is really simple. The concept is this: you're bumping into somebody at church, at the grocery store, at the ball field, and at the train station, right? Or you're bumping into them at Whole Foods, you're bumping into them at yoga, you're bumping into them, I don't know, on the ski slopes, and then you actually happen to see them again when you go to vacation in Lake Tahoe, right? So you're in that space where you keep bumping into essentially your brand, Pam, your brand, Jill, your brand, Kathy, Sarah, who else is on with me? Kim, Lisa, right? You're in that space where you've actually committed to bring your lifestyle brand to the marketplace well. So 7-11-4, you do that, friend, you'll be ahead of most of the people in your micro niche, because most people think it's no big deal. And I guess what I'm here to share with you is it's a big deal. Okay. Check out the Holiday Decor podcast. 12 seasonal episodes. It's a big deal. Okay. So then we talked about putting this whole thing together, making everything work. And today it's really simple. Yesterday we gave you an opportunity. If you haven't already, go ahead and fill out the form. It actually works. You just got to put in your billing address first so that you can get your free call.
Well, I mean, all of them.
Yep.
Click.
Could you want to come over and just share that really quickly? Because Patrick actually tested this. So if you want to be able to work with us, I'm going to have him explain something, and then I'm going to come back to this because I want to put something together for you.
No, I tried it yesterday and I actually screwed it up. So I think I understand the confusion, but if you have to put in all of your billing information, and that may make it uneasy, but put in all your billing information, and then down below there's a little drop down where you click that, and there's a spot to put in the coupon code, which is all capitals. What is it?
Seven-figure brand.
7-figure brand. And then if you do that, it will zero out the charge. And so it definitely works. If you're trying and you're having trouble, you can DM me. I'll walk you through it.
Yep.
But anyway, I did it wrong first, so I understand the confusion, but it works. Promise.
Oh, thank you. This is your first test as a business owner. Do you have a mentor that actually does that to us sometimes? He's like, all right, I'm giving you a tech test. Can you pass it? I'm like, oh, come on. This is your first test. I'm trying to get you a free call, friends. Trying to get you a free call. All right, what's next, Dan? How do I put this whole thing together? Like, what do I do on Monday morning? Like, what do I actually do? Who would like to know what you actually do on Monday morning? Well, Monday's a holiday, I think, when we're filming. We're live right now. So I think Monday's a holiday. So if you don't want to work on Monday, you don't have to work on Monday. What about Tuesday morning? Who wants to know what you're going to do on Tuesday morning? Got your ethos tree, you got your DNA scaffolding, you got your checklist, you joined the VIP, you got your dashboard, you got some templates. You're like, what do I do? Who would like to know that? Give me a 1 in the chat, VIPs, if you're still tracking with me. Okay, what do I do? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a dedicated space. You're going to create a dedicated space. Now, let me give you some context for this. Like I said, I love using the Bible as a frame. Okay, that's just who I am. If you're not comfortable with it, I love you. You don't need to think like I do. But I love using it as a frame. I also love going to like ancient texts and learning like how people did things and do things. And I was thinking about it this way. Before God created humans, he created a dedicated space. Kind of random, right? He's like, he didn't fling us out to Mars or, well, some people think he did, but he didn't fling us out to wherever. I don't know. Danger, Will Robinson, danger. We're not some Star Wars place, or maybe we are, who knows? But he created a dedicated space just take this as illustrative purposes. Is that cool? Can we have some fun? Can we build lifestyle brands with a sense of humor and levity that is so needed in the earth today? Can we just lighten up a little bit? So he created this dedicated space for humans. Well, in the same way, Jill, Kathy, Sarah, Lisa, Kim, Pam, who else is on our VIP still? Melissa, Dave, who else is on? Right? Jill. In the same way, I want you to think about this, Caleb. Your lifestyle brand, if you were bending positive, you believed your idea was good, and you actually were like making decisions from 8-figure Caleb, 9-figure Caleb, you'd create a space for that. It would have its own room, if you will. Even if that room was a desk. Even if that room was a closet or a folding table, you'd create a space. So that everything you learned this week in the challenge could have a space to land, a place to be applied. Does that make sense? So there's this concept, maybe you've heard of it before. It goes like this, write this in the chat. We behave from belief. And I put this twist on it mostly for our consulting clients, sometimes for our mastermind members. I can tell what you believe based on how you behave. I can tell what you believe based on how you behave. Do you believe your idea is good? Man, that desk might be ready this afternoon. You've already booked your call for this afternoon or for tomorrow or for sometime in the next 4 days because you believe, hey, there's something here. I got an idea. I got something that it's time to bring, right? So what do you do today, Tuesday morning? You make space. You have a dedicated space to actually let your idea germinate, organically have a place to sit and be organized so that it's like, hey, this is my place. And I'm going to grow and I'm going to thrive from this dedicated space. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. My VIPs, give me a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. Can I tell you what this looks like when we don't do that? Is it okay if I just share a couple war stories? Let me share some war stories. So in 2008, I was a full-time interior designer. My kids were in junior high and high school. I'd gone back to work full-time. And it's the only thing I knew. I've been pretty successful before. Worked in major markets, New York City, Beverly Hills, like I did okay. And so I thought I knew how it worked. Have you ever thought you know how something works? You're like, oh, well, I know that already. Warning sign number 1. Oh, I know that. I didn't know it. So I'm like going back to work and I'm like, oh, I know how the design market works. I know how this works. I did it, It's just like, stop and stop. But that's where I was at the time. So grace, right? Somebody write grace for the pace. Grace for the pace. So if you've ever thought you knew how something worked and you really didn't, I get you. I feel you. So I go back to work and I'm like shouting and like, this feels a little harder than it used to be. Like, God, like, I guess I don't know how things are working around here. So I take out my business credit card and I pay a whole lot of money to a designer to mentor me. She's actually quite amazing. Her name was Toby. And hi, Toby, if you ever see this. Amazing mentor. She helped me so much gratitude for mentors. But I paid her more than I'd ever paid anybody to mentor me before, like a lot of money, a lot of money. And she helped me get over some mindset issues and start the blog and do all these things that designers in that day were doing to be more profitable and be more relevant. So I did all that. And then, well, let me ask you, have you ever found yourself in your job, your entrepreneurial expedition, if you will, and you're working all the time? You don't have time to catch your breath. You don't have time to work out. You don't have time to put your oxygen mask on, right? You're like, I'm sitting on the plane, but I got to deal with this proverbial baby. I got to deal with that proverbial, like, I do not have time, Ann. And you're in that space and you just feel like you're kind of like, if the water line's here, you're just kind of going like this and you're like, oh Lord, what's going to happen here? Well, that's where I was. And by the grace of God, one of my friends, Michael, he said, Ann, I think you should learn how to do this stuff online. And I was like, cool. So I sign up and I'm like, I got it. There's that. I know what to do again. Somebody say, we don't, if we think we know what to do, we probably don't know what to do, right? Somebody write blind spot in the chat. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about training on this is that I had more blind spots in the business space than I think a human should be allowed to have, right? Maybe I got some scars, got some arrows, like take those out of my back and let me give you the breakthrough. And so I got this mentor basically in 2008, right? And he told me what to do in 2008, and I didn't do it because I thought I knew better. So if you've ever been in a place, maybe not you, but you've seen a friend, and you give a friend some counsel, and you're like, hey, friend, this is what you should do. And they're like, nah, I got it. Okay. We can't cause other people to get the awareness, but we can choose to get the awareness for ourselves. And so 2008 to 2013, I was in that place where I thought I knew, I didn't know. And I share that with you because in 2013, I finally got my first financial breakthrough that was sustainable. Somebody say sustainable. Now, was this breakthrough $100,000? Flip no. Okay. The breakthrough was just barely enough to pay off my part of my business line of credit at the time. It was under $5,000. However, somebody write in the chat, repeatable. Repeatable. It was repeatable. Somebody write in the chat, repeatable. Remember that DIY thing I shared that I thought DIY was an evil spirit? Is DIY repeatable? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, sir. If I remodel a bathroom myself with my own two hands, if I repeat that thing, it takes me away from what I'm currently called to today. However, if I put that thing into a system, right? System. If I put that thing into a course, if I put that thing into an online lifestyle brand, now we got repeatable. Okay. So for me, well, actually, let me ask you specifically a question. Think about this for a minute. Would you like to know what my big blind spot was that I actually had to let go of? Would you like to know? What was my big blind spot? My husband could see it. My friends could see it. I couldn't see it. because I thought I knew. So let me know one in the chat. You want to know what my big blind spot was? I'm here. I got a nice cup of coffee. Let me know one in the chat. Awesome. Thank you, Pam. Pam came through for all y'all. Kathy, thank you, Kathy. My big blind spot was I needed to be needed. Somebody write that in the chat while I grab my cup of coffee here. I needed to be needed. What do you mean, Ann? We all need to be needed. It's human design. I get it. But I was building a business to be needed and valued and relevant. I wasn't building a business to serve in love and to help other people, whether they bought from me or not. So one of the things that this entire system that I'm giving to you in this challenge, and if you work with us, you'll get more of this. Right? I'm not for everybody, trust me, but I am perfect for some of y'all. Okay, is that process of eradicating our need to be needed so that our businesses can grow and thrive like fantastic, well-watered, well-sunlit, well-planted fruit trees. A fruit tree does not need to be needed to bear fruit. A fruit tree doesn't stand there and go, well, maybe I'll bear some fruit if you like or talk nice to me. No, friend. It's a servant, right? It's a servant to the space. Right? No, I did not say doormat. You got to have boundaries. Somebody write boundaries. 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 Okay. Profit is a really good boundary. Okay. Ancient wisdom puts it like this: all hard work does bring a profit, right? All work, basically all contribution, if you will, does bring a profit, but we've got to do it in such a way that we're not being needy, because that's when we don't see any profit, because we're trying to get rather than give. We're trying to prove rather than serve. Is this helping anybody? Is this helping anybody? One of the biggest issues I see in the lifestyle space online is a lot of influencer marketing, a lot of influencer type spaces. It's really just a cover for a need, an unmet need. And I guess what I want to say to you is, I believe that you have a mandated message. My personal belief is that you have a mandated message from God. You have something to bring in this hour, whether it's holiday decor or life coaching or production or whatever it is. I don't care what your gift is. I don't know. Maybe you're an amazing dentist, right? Whatever. But you have a gift. You have a mandated message in this hour that all of creation needs. Scientists call it the butterfly effect. You guys familiar with the butterfly effect? What a butterfly does over here on one side of the world affects storm systems over here, right? Now don't get all weird on me. We're not going there. Okay. But the butterfly over here, I think of as our lifestyle businesses. Stress-free holiday home is not changing the earth. Maybe it is. Maybe that little flitter, a little $40,000 to $60,000 brand is changing something over here. You never know. You never know. So what are you going to do? Well, first, are you going to sign up for the call? Are you going to consider yourself a business owner, maybe new, maybe you're entirely new to the entrepreneurial space. You're just like, Anna, I don't even know, right? Sign up for a call, friend.
So the little drop-down menu I mentioned, and right underneath the billing, it just says summary information. And over to the right, you can see where you can click, and that drops down, and there's a spot to put the code, and you hit apply.
Come on.
Okay. So right underneath the billing information, summary information, click that, drop down, coupon code, apply, good to go.
Cool. Why wouldn't you? I'm not scary. I promise. I actually have nothing to sell you. I mean, I have programs you can join, but I don't have anything to sell you. Does that make sense? Let me know one in the chat if that makes sense. You can journey with us. You can journey with our crew, or you can journey with somebody else's crew. I guess what I want to say is you're not designed to be a DIY, because Feisty Ann, Spicy Ann is my mastermind members call it when I'm like super direct, super direct. It's the number 7, Kathy. It's 7, the number 7 figure brand. That's the coupon code. All right, so let me ask you a question. Has this been helpful for your idea for a lifestyle brand? Right? Has this been helpful? Do you feel like you've gotten this kind of inside track on what actually works, what doesn't work? You know, here's what I want to share with you. If you haven't even joined the VIPs have access to a dashboard with extended recordings, templates, workbooks. They even got an extra bonus of a leads training, and they got one of my offer documents, one of my offer things. $27. I want to end with this for a second. I want to end with this one. Actually, I'm going to read something to you that I wrote for one of our brands. I'm going to pull that up while I talk about this for a second. There was a time when I was afraid. Actually, is it okay if I just get really raw on a particular aspect of when I was starting my business? Really raw. I was afraid to buy like a $15 course because I was so skeptical of this thing called the online marketplace. It was so skeptical. And so if you're in that place where you're like, $27, right? I mean, friends, there was a time I couldn't buy gas. So I get it. All right. I get it. I like legit couldn't buy gas. Put the credit card in and it's like, nope. I get it. The $27 is designed to help you level up how you think and make a decision from that identity for the VIP version of the challenge. So we do this challenge basically once a month live. And if you've paid your $27, you get the access to the replays. And then once you're through that, when you're ready to level up, we have programs and courses and masterminds from at the date of this recording, it's a 40K VIP day, or there's $1,000 course. Like it's a course, it's Clarity to Cash. It's actually loaded. Okay. It's loaded. Everything in between. I want to read something to you that we actually read at our advances. So we have these 3-day advances that we do virtually and in person, depending on what level you're at. And the advances are deep dives. They're like, all right, we're going in deep, friend. We're getting on the scale. we're gonna get on the scale. And I want to read this to you because this is really my manifesto. I write these poems. Just say, how many? Actually, let me ask you this before I read this. Do you have a form of expression? Do you have a form of self-expression? Maybe it's not meant for public consumption. It's like you're not a great artist, but you love to paint, right? Do you know what I'm talking about? Maybe you're not a, Grammy award-winning songwriter, but you love to write songs. Maybe you're not a Carnegie Hall pianist or vocalist, but you love to play the piano. Maybe you feel like you're not one of the greats at something, but you just have that form of self-expression, artistic, creative, something like that. So one of the things that I do, so you know what I'm talking about. So one of the things that I do when I'm working to bring brands to the marketplace is I just sit down and I kind of try to write a poem about it, or a manifesto, if you will. And so for this whole concept of bringing your ideas into the marketplace as, this is important, as an online lifestyle brand. This is my poem for it, if you will. So I want to read this to you to assure you, well, this is not, like Pulitzer Prize stuff, but this is my heart for you. I want to read this to you so that you realize that your idea is actually somebody else's cry for a solution. And I believe it's God, but you can call it you can call him whatever you want, right? Universe, energy, whatever. But I believe it's God. I believe that you have the idea for your lifestyle brand because somebody somewhere has cried out for the solution, the mandate, the message that only you can bring. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping you steward it. So as we wrap this challenge up, I want to read this to you. All right. My mastermind peeps have heard this before. It's called Welcome Home by Anne McDonald. I'm not going to cry. Beauty by nature, ideas burst forth through realms of creation, from God to one, heart to soul. Make way. The steward, that's you, friend, arrives. Solutions at hand. A high and noble calling, majesty manifest. Streams of living water for every realm. The weary one refreshed, made whole. Thank you for being on the challenge with us. It's been my honor to serve you.